All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Worldwide toll-free, 800-610-7035. My email address is xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On all social media sites, Xzone Radio TV, and our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. My guest this hour is a gentleman I've had the pleasure of talking to for a number of years now. Rick Hayes is his name. And since 2003, he has brought inspiration and life-changing insight to thousands through personal consultations, media appearances, and speaking engagements. But tonight, our good friend Rick Hayes is going to be sharing the gifts of daily life and the afterlife. Now, Rick is a published author, inspirational speaker, the founder of Life's Gift, Inc., and what many define as the world's most renowned psychic medium. He has appeared on numerous radio and television shows, and he is also featured as one of the top 25 psychic mediums of America in 2014. For more information, Rick's website is www.lifesgifts.com. And Rick Hayes, welcome back to the X Zone. Great speaking to you again, my friend.
It's a pleasure, my friend, and I always look forward to my next stop being the X Zone, so it's a pleasure to be here this evening.
Rick, what have you been up to since you and I last talked?
Well, Rob, I just share with everyone. Each day I wake up, it's just life is just continues to be amazing. Opportunities just keep being created. Traveling as I speak right now, I'm in a hotel room, but I wouldn't have it any other way because I'm traveling and getting to meet new friends, and opportunities keep coming along. You just mentioned I was very honored to be in the book, The Top 100 Psychics in America. Also, I just recently was awarded Medium of the Year by a Paranormal Association, my second straight year. And,
congratulations!
Thank you, and all the accolades are truly an honor. But to me, just enjoying life each day and getting to spend time with friends like Rob McConnell and the X Zone is just an honor to be a part of it.
You are too kind, my friend. Rick, with all the trouble that's going on in the world today, we've got the terrorist cell known as ISIS, we have Al-Qaeda, we have the Ebola that has now been diagnosed for the very first time on American soil. We have what's going on, the student uprising in China. We have what's going on in the Ukraine. What's going on in your opinion?
Well, it's a matter of choice, and that's one of the great gifts we're given in our life, mm-hmm. and when we're created as a gift of choice. We can choose how we direct our life. I feel a lot of the choices being made recently is just there's a combination of what I call earthly emotions being affected, which would be including jealousy, anger, bitterness, frustration, and for me, I truly feel we're just focusing more on what you just described as the negative news, and if we would turn our energy around and focus more on the positive side of the news. For example, I just read today about a young teenage student who was basically told when he was at a young age that he would not be able to accomplish, and he has accomplished great things without one limb on the body.
Oh, my God.
Just an amazing person. So those are positive energies we need to focus on. Yeah, I don't feel like it's so much an earthly change, a worldly change, an environment or an energy change. I just feel that we need to refocus more on the positive side of things in our life.
But how do we get the masses to do that, Rick? I agree with you 100%, but how do we get the masses to join our cause and our way of thinking to make the changes that are so necessary in the world today?
Well, one of the things I've noticed and been in this industry out in in this public industry for the last 12, almost 13 years, is that we're seeing a change of focus in more of the spirituality, more of the spiritual, and it's more of the what many would call the health and self and well-being, the positive messages. We're seeing more of that, and I'm personally feel that is something that is it going to help in an abundance in masses. We will always on this earth have those moments where there'll be a negative energy. For example, you mentioned ISIS.
Yeah.
You know, they're basing their beliefs and their choices on what they believe, even though it's a negative energy. And so, therefore, you know, we can do two things. We can enhance that focus on that negative energy, or we can turn it around and we can focus on the positive. Just as you're bringing up a young child, and when you're upbringing a young child, you want to focus them on all the good things about them, so that when they grow up, they will be positive about themselves as well.
I like that. Rick, stand by, buddy. You and I have to take our first commercial break, and we'll be right back. X-Zone Nation, a good friend. Rick Hayes is our special guest this hour. www.lifesgift.com. I'm Rob McConnell. This is the X-Zone. We'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away. Welcome back, everyone. Rick Hayes is our very special guest this hour. www.lifesgift.com is his website. And Rick, why don't you tell our new listeners who have joined the X-Zone Nation since you last joined us, how you got started professionally?
Well, first of all, if they do not know the X-Zone, they've been under a rock. Because the X-Zone is very well known and a very popular show, and it's an honor to be a part of this tonight.
Oh,
professionally, I grew up in knowing that there's more than just life here. I grew up in a church-oriented atmosphere, being taught that there's more life, but I was also acknowledged early in my life abilities that I feel like we're all created with and born with, and that's the ability to know that our loved ones in spirit are still around us and living in what I call life continual. But Rob, my being in with a lack of self-confidence and with personal upbringing, I kept it all basically private to myself. I just wanted to be a regular guy until about 12, 13 years ago. I had an individual, a good friend outside the family, that for the first time I shared messages that just a few days later she shared with me. Because of the messages, it brought her comfort. What she was going through, and she shared with me. She said, "You're being selfish. You need to share this with others because you could be helping." That was a stepping stone right there that launched my, what we would call, the professional career of Rick Hayes.
Rick, what is it like for you to be the conduit, the healing tool between people on this side and those that they've lost and love on the other side?
You feel totally in between. You feel like you're in between the conversation. But the positive on that, Rob, is that since I'm in between listening to both and being involved in the conversation, it's an inspiration. And it's an inspiration for me. As I shared with the client this afternoon, being a part of that. If it wasn't for the client, first of all, meeting them for the first time, which became a new friend, I also got to meet their loved ones who I would have never met if it wasn't for that new friend. So each and every connection, what I call connection, each and every connection is an inspiration for me because it's given me the opportunity to meet those that I would have never met in my life path before.
Rick, do you think that this is all part of the big picture? And when I say this, I mean the work that you're doing here on this plane and this dimension and this time that we call reality. Is this pre-scripted? Are we actors in a spiritual play? Or how do you explain our existence?
Well, that's very good. That's why I enjoyed speaking with you, Rob. You just had some fantastic, I call it awesome questions. So I don't per se that I feel that we're in a play. I do feel we are created with a purpose in life, each and every one of us. And I do believe that we have the choice or the choices to choose if we want to follow the path or not. It is not a scripted play per se. It is a basis to begin, but along the life's path, you have the choices to choose if you want to follow and be guided along that path, or if you choose to take a different path. That's what's so great about life is we're not robots on this earth. We get the opportunity to choose how we want to live life.
Over the years, Rick, have you seen a difference in the type of questions that people are asking you to ask and answer from the other side, or are the questions always basically the same?
Well, I still get the usual about how's my love life? Do you see anything in my love life? What's the lottery numbers? I get those, and that's pretty common. But I'm seeing more of what I'm seeing more is not so much the questions being asked, but more the belief that more and more are becoming open-minded of sharing that there's more than there's life here. There's more than just life here, and I'm seeing more of the belief. And the questions come from that. The questions come from the belief system that they are creating within themselves. And that's what I see when it comes to the question.
To what do you attribute the change and the more social acceptance of psychic mediumship with society?
Well, we still have those that are very what I determine as, this is how they were taught. This is if you're taught a certain way to believe a certain way, then you're going to follow what you were taught. I feel and I want to give kudos to our young adults because I feel what we're seeing is a more open-mindedness to the possibility that psychic and spirituality and these things that we are not sure of, but certain of what we cannot see, and that's called faith. We're seeing that more and more, and because of that, I feel that we're opening up our minds, and we're not just our minds, but also our own spirits within ourselves to say, hey, there is something more than just life here.
What kind of evidence do you bring to those who ask you to communicate with those on the other side? And how in the name of heaven, Rick, do you find one soul, one spirit on a side that must be filled with spirits that have left this plane since the beginning of time? How do you find that one soul that you're looking for?
Well, as far as the individual in themselves, it's not so much of searching and looking. It's more of accepting, accepting that one soul is around. So it's simply acceptance. As far as what any validations that I share, they come in the most common ways sometimes. Sometimes they come in the most complex ways. For example, just today I was given a visual of a purple amethyst necklace, and I shared with her that I was to hand this to her, and she shared with me that she stopped and paused for a few seconds, and then she said, I know this is my grandmother now because she gave me that necklace.
Wow.
And we were several states away, and she said, Rick, I'm wearing it right now because I was hoping she would be here with us. And so that was a common, complex validation for her. And, for me, it doesn't matter. All that really matters for me personally is that it is the message for her to believe.
After doing what you do for all these years, Rick, how do you keep it so that you don't get actively involved with the people that you work with? My heavens, the work you do, the hearts you touch, the lives you change. How do you separate Rick, the spirit medium, from Rick Hayes, the guy?
Well, first of all, Rob, we do keep several boxes, and I'm not talking just in single boxes. We've got crates of Kleenexes in our office because it's very emotional, and it's emotional in a good way. I share that tears shed for a loved one is simply sharing how much you care and how much you love them, and so there's nothing wrong with crying.
Right.
For me, I have learned, especially in these last 12 years, that for me to live the life and receive the life in the fullest, that I am to follow my path I have to live a part of my life, and that means I have to live a regular life. But at the same time, it's changed in the sense of I have grown to allow these abilities to be accepted, first of all, not with others, but also with me. And it's allowed me to grow in my life, and it's changed my life, and it's changed my life in a positive way. And I do not separate. I mean, there's times in our consultations I'm crying right along with them. I'm laughing right along with them. And I think that emotional bond is something that is a benefit for me as well.
When you're dealing with the other side, I would imagine that you must lower your guard in order to have that other party come through to you. How do you protect yourself from negative entities presenting themselves to you and coming in? And
I just simply don't allow it.
Well, that's one way of doing it.
Media, and I do television. I work with the media. I totally respect the media, but the media has become more and more of the negative energies to sell the tickets. I just saw something tonight, and I was familiar that was going to be, the trailer was coming out, and it's about a possessed doll. And I thought, okay, here's a doll that many children love receiving dolls when they're a child, and they're changing it into a negative energy. And, it sells tickets. What can I say? Yeah. But at the same time, for me, I simply protect myself because I share with everyone that I carry with me the Fantastic Four, which is faith, which is belief in having positive attitude, which is knowing that there's a creator that is with me, that is more powerful than anything. And it's kind of a humorous statement, but I also share I've got loved ones that are around me and protecting me, loved ones that are in my family, and you don't mess with my family. So I mean, have I been experienced any kind of negative energy? Absolutely, negative energy is around us on this earth. It is a part of this earth. But do I have to accept it? Do I have to give it the strength? I don't even utilize the word evil, demonic, or anything like that, because that gives that power. I just call it negative because that's exactly what it is.
And as long as you don't acknowledge the energy, the negative energy, then you're ahead of the game.
Absolutely, because when you manifest anything, when you give attention and when you give credit to anything, then it'll manifest it and it'll grow. Just as if you wake up in the morning and you wake up in a very bad attitude and a negative attitude, and you create more and more of that manifest, it's going to create your whole environment around you all through the day in a negative environment.
I believe you, my friend. I totally do. Hey, Rick, you and I have got to take our news break at the bottom of the hour. Always great talking to you. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us tonight.
It's never for me. It's never it's always a pleasure. It's never taken time out of my schedule to talk with my friend Rob McConnell.
Thanks, Rick. Exonation, Rick Hayes is our special guest this hour. www.lifesgift.com. That's www.lifesgift.com. And don't remember, as of October 10th, I know it's a little early, but the early bird catches the worm. The X-Zone Christmas store will be open at XZoneXmas.com. That's XZoneXmas.com for gifts from the world of the paranormal, the science of parapsychology, and all areas in between. Readers, psychics, mediums, authors, you name it, they're going to be there. A gift for everyone, but a gift for everyone who has everything. Strange but true. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break as we continue here in the X-Zone with Rick Hayes. Don't go away. Welcome back, everyone. Rick Hayes is my guest this hour. www.lifesgift.com. Hey, Rick, what has been your most unusual prediction?
Well, nationally, I would usually share the experience of several years ago. my son and I were, we had this before he actually got older, and I'm very proud to say he's in his 10th year in the Navy.
Wow.
And he would come over and on Sunday mornings we would have breakfast together, and we would sit around and watch a show on television. Well, that particular Sunday morning, we turned on the television while we was having our breakfast, and they were talking about a spaceship that was landing with passengers after a successful journey.
Mm-hmm.
And we were sitting there, and I was watching, and as I was watching, I started receiving these visuals, and I looked over at him, and I said, "Everything's okay. They've moved on, but everything's okay."
Wow.
And my son looked at me, and he he always thinks Dad is kind of weird, and he said, "What are you talking about, Dad?" And I said, "They're okay, son. They're okay." Well, and the announcer on the television was sharing everything looked fine. They were landing. Everything was going well. And within about a minute and a half, 2 minutes later, suddenly we saw an explosion. And I'm speaking of the Challenger, of course. And I shared with him, and he looked at me. My son looked at me, and he said, "Wow, Dad, that was some prediction." I said, "No, son, it wasn't a prediction. It was a validation to let you know that they had already transited in the spirit before the explosion actually happened, so they didn't have to experience that." And that was probably the most unusual for me, because it resonated with me that sometimes I will receive things that is going to happen, but keep in mind, and that's what I share with everyone, I'm not 100% correct. I'm 99.5, but I'm not 100%, because we still always have the choice to make the changes to either allow it to happen or not to happen. And so in this particular instance, it was going to happen. And so that was the most unusual prediction, I guess, for me.
How's your son enjoying the Navy?
Very, very proud of him. Don't get me started on him. I'll talk about how proud father I am. So he's following his path, he's following his career, and he's doing very well. Thank you.
Well, I'm very, the people who defend our country
Absolutely
deserve our thanks. And your son doesn't know me. I don't know him. But the next time you see him, you say, "Hey, this guy I know who does a radio show, Rob McConnell, he said to say hi, and that he's proud of you and he thanks you for all you've done."
Well, I thank you so much for that, and I definitely will. And I'll just share with you, Rob, he's probably heard of you because I mentioned your name when I'm getting ready to be on your show. So,
well, thank you, my man. Listen, Rick, a lot of kids talk about their special friends, their invisible friends. My daughter, Belinda, had her special friends. She used to talk to them. She used to play with them. And I always encouraged her, because just because I can't see something doesn't mean it's not there.
absolutely.
Now, when a child is playing with their imaginary friends or their invisible friends, are they playing with angels, or are they playing with spirits, or are they playing with them both?
They are accepting what is there, and what I mean by that is, yes, it could be angels.
Mm-hmm.
I share with everyone, if you don't believe in angels, I would recommend that you start, because in a book I wrote, I call them God's upper management. They are to help us on this earth, and they're also are helping our loved ones in spirit to help us as well. So, yes, children can acknowledge angels. They can acknowledge those in spirit who have transcended from the earthly body. And again, the key here is that as a child, they just accept. And as we're all growing up, we're told it's imagination. We're told it's a coincidence. We're told, it's just imaginary friends. And children, and they just allow these abilities. They just accept them. But as they grow up and being told these, what I call blockers, it actually starts blocking them from actually focusing on what they've been accepting. So as a parent, and I really commend what you shared about you and your daughter, is that I share with the parents to just be patient.
Yeah.
Give them patience and be patient with your child and listen. I can't express how much important it is to listen. Get down to their level. When you're standing above your child, it's intimidating. Get down to their level. If you have to get on the floor with them, get on the floor with them and talk with them and just listen to them. And the last thing is let them know you believe in them, because that is their confidence grows whenever you show that you believe them. And you don't want to force. I always share with those who have children who says they're seeing others and what should I do? I share with them. I say, don't every time they turn around share with them, do you see a ghost? Do you see someone around you? I said, just let them share with you and just follow the pace that they're giving to you and just be patient. And the key is just to listen.
Rick, have you ever had a near-death experience?
I actually have. I don't call it a near-death experience. I call it a connection experience. Actually, back in 1981, I was stubborn. I had a medical condition. I ignored it, and I was put into the hospital. I was actually in the hospital for 31 days, and during the time they did not know exactly what had happened, and I was to go into surgery. And I actually went into surgery, came out of surgery. I was told later that they don't know how I made it through. But during that time, that I was unconscious basically they said for 3 days. I do not recall that.
My goodness.
But during that time, there's two experiences I remember. I remember seeing my dad, who never cried around me, sitting next to my bed. I woke up for a moment, and he had tears coming down his eyes, and I could not understand why. And the second was I was actually received an angelic being appeared to me, and I was ready. I was saying I'm ready, and they shared with me I had more to do. And at that time, in 1980-81, I did not understand what the message was about. Today, I really understand, and I did receive basically the choice, but a firm choice to remain and continue on my path.
Rick, having had your own experience and having had the ability to talk to those on the other side, what happens when we do die?
It's a simple, and I love the words I've been using the last few years. I've been trying to find what's the best way to share what happens, and it's just a simple transition. It's not an end. As you know me for years, I've always used the word moved on. Death and dead means an end. We do not end. Life is continual. We just simply transcend. We transcend from our physical body into our body of spirit, and we continue on in life. It's a simple transition. I've had those that have shared with me in spirit that they were very aware even before they were transcending of what was going on. I've had those that were in tragic accidents that shared with me that it was in a blink of an eye. It was a flicker. Wow. And so there's many different experiences, but the one thing I've always found that there's never excruciating pain. They made the physical pain in the body may be acknowledged, but they do not feel it because it's almost like as soon as the pain is becoming too excruciating in the physical body, our Creator transcends us into the body of spirit where we do not feel the pain of the physical body. And it's a very I wish I could make it sound mystical and then complicated, but just a very simple transition.
It almost seems, from what I know, that it's a metamorphosis. Like I use the analogy of the caterpillar and the butterfly. Here in this reality, this dimension, we are the caterpillar. And when we move on to the next dimension or the next reality, we change into a butterfly.
And that's a beautiful body. I mean, it's, and the transition of I love that analogy. If you don't mind, I might use it in
Go right
some
ahead.
of my speaking events. Thank you. I'll mention my friend Rob McConnell has shared this with me, by the way. But that's a beautiful analogy because it shares that if you look at the cocoon, it is the shell, and most of the times it is not the most beautiful thing. But what the transition from that shell is, it was a time of learning. It's in a time of growth. It's a time of experience. And once you transcend from that shell, as you share it into the beautiful body of a butterfly, you feel the comfort, you feel the peace, you feel the tranquility, you feel the ability to fly anywhere you want to go and be anywhere you want to be. And that's I just wrote that down. I'm going to use that, Rob.
No problem. Be my guest. Hey, Rick, you travel a lot, and you've met many people. You've visited many places on this beautiful planet of ours. Has there been any specific area, location, or place that you have felt a most prominent connection to?
Well, and you're right. I've had the opportunity and the fortunate opportunity to visit many places that are not just historic, but is considered in this field as haunted, and filled with activity. I've been from Navy ships, abandoned Navy ships, to Civil War forts, to example Alcatraz. I'm scheduled to be next May. I'm looking forward to it. I'm scheduled to speak and be a part of an event in Tombstone, Arizona. I'm going to be right there with Doc and Wyatt, and looking forward to that. So, and the places I go, I'm often asked, where's one place that you feel most connected with? It's not so much it's the location. Each location I go to has a different life experience, has a different story to share, and a different activity and different connections. And there's not one that stands out above the others. If the Alcatraz is one I utilize because I've been there approximately 4 times. Each time I go, I get a new experience and a new opportunity. So there's not one that stands out. They all are at that high level of learning, and it's an inspiration for me.
Have you ever made a connection with a celebrity in spirit?
Well, first of all, I'll share this, Rob. I'm not one of those that says if a celebrity moves on that I'm automatically going to start connecting with them to get me on video. Because first of all, that celebrity didn't know me here. Why would he come to me now? So, but I have the one or two that I'll share real quickly is that I remember as a young adult going into the home of where Abe Lincoln used to live. And we went up on the second floor. We was taking a tour, and we came around the corner into this one room. There was a desk there, and standing next to the desk was this tall individual. I looked at him, and I thought, that looks like Abe. Yeah. And immediately the tour person shared that the desk that he was standing next to, she didn't know he was there, but was the original desk that Abe Lincoln spent a lot of nights with. And he was simply there watching all those, admiring all those that was coming to learn about him. And very quickly, the other one, that because I'm an Elvis fan, I actually got the opportunity to go to Graceland several years ago, and I went into the area, what they call the jungle room, in the couch, and as I came around, there was Mr. Presley, and just sitting there very relaxed, watching again. It's almost like he was watching and admiring those that was coming to admire him. And I actually could see him in what many would define as a full-body apparition. And I was kind of dumbfounded at the time, but he didn't nod at me, he didn't acknowledge me, he was just sitting there. I didn't even get a thank you very much, Rob. So
you didn't even get a Rick Hayes has left the building.
Yeah, and exactly. But the key here is what I share with everyone when I'm asked that question is, if they didn't know me here, why would they come to me? Why would I be able to channel them or come to them now? Unless I'm with someone that they were connected with, for example, a family or a dear friend, or if I'm in the location like Elvis, his Graceland home, if I'm in a location like that. But otherwise, there's no reason for them to come and visit Rick Hayes.
Rick, when you're out and about with your family, or if you're in an airport, a train station, or just doing your shopping, have spirits ever come to you and tried to get you to give someone in your proximity where you are an important message?
You should go shopping with me, Rob, once. You'd enjoy it. I'm one of those. I'm becoming more open. I was very, because of my own self-confidence in myself, I would restrict myself if I went into a retail store and I would actually see a loved one next to someone. I would hold back because I didn't want them to think something was wrong with me. Yeah. But now I'm finding more and more, and again, they respect me. They respect that I'm living my life. But there have been times when I will be in a retail. I was just in one about 2-3 weeks ago, and there was a lady that was sitting. It was a small retail store. She was actually sitting at a chair, and I don't know what she was sitting and waiting for, but there was a chair there, and she was sitting, and standing right next to her was this gentleman, and so I just felt compelled because I felt like he was sharing with me to go talk to her. And I went up to her and I introduced myself, and I just shared with her. I said, "I need to ask you a question. Has your husband moved on?" And she looked at me with tears in her eyes quickly, and she said, 2 weeks ago.
Oh, for gosh sake.
And so, this right away was telling me that it was important for me to share with her the messages I shared. I shared with her just for a couple minutes, and I looked at her and I said, "I appreciate the time with you. I had no intentions of coming in here. I came in here to shop and to buy a shirt." But I said, I shared with her, I said, "I'm very glad to meet you." And she stood up, gave me a hug, and she said, "This has not only made my day, it's made my last 2 weeks." And so, there's times, there's times I've learned to just go up to someone.
Rick Hayes is my guest this hour, X-Zone Nation. www.lifesgift.com. And Rick and I have to depart right now for the other side of the commercial break. And when we come back, we'll be wrapping up this hour here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Once again, if you'd like more information on Rick Hayes, his website is www.lifesgift.com. X-Zone Nation, Rick Hayes is my guest this hour. www.lifesgift.com. That's LIFESGIFT.com. First of all, Rick, as always, great pleasure talking to you. Thank you for sharing your time with us. But I have to ask you something about a TV pilot that is in current production.
Yes, I can't share a lot about it, but simply because when you're doing a pilot, it is get it done and then wait.
Right.
But I'm excited about it. It is in the paranormal gender, and again, as you know me very well, I share that don't script me, just let me be Rick Hayes, and I've had the opportunity to do so, and looking forward to that. It's going to be on one of the networks that is on the cable network. So we're hoping that it's a wait and see. We're waiting for the right time, and of course the network's waiting for the right time. But we're very positive about it. So hoping that will be announced very soon.
Super, Rick, and also Life's Gift events, the Connection events, and the Believe workshops. Tell us about those.
Yes, we are doing the Connections. We call it the Connections Gallery with Rick Hayes. We're taking those all over the country. Just did one last Saturday. And it is a Connections Gallery. Many in this industry call them readings. I just simply call them Connections, and we're taking those all over the country. And also, we created about 2 years ago a workshop, a 4-hour workshop called Believe. It is to the first 2 hours is to break down all the things you build up, such as lack of self-confidence and fear in the life. We remove that, we rebuild that. The second 2 hours is building your own spiritual abilities, such as being a psychic or being a medium or just being a sensitive or just getting the right feelings in your life. So we're excited about those, and we also have created that where it's an online part as a Believe membership, and we're having a lot of fun with that as well. You can find out more about all that on the Life's Gift website.
Super, Rick. Rick, we've got about a minute and a half left. What is your message tonight, your final parting message for the members of the X-Zone Nation?
Well, first of all, my first message is you shouldn't miss one night of the X-Zone radio. So that's my first message to everyone out there, because it is an exceptional radio, and Rob is not just a friend, but he's very committed to bringing you the very best. The second thing I want to share with everyone in life is to believe, and I can't express that even more.
Yeah.
To believe in yourself, believe in who you are, and believe in life itself, and embrace every moment in your life, because when you wake up in the morning, it's a life given to you to create and to experience and to grow. And for those loved ones in spirit around you, they are a part of it, and they're getting to enjoy it. When you enjoy a very important part of your day, or any part of your day, they are a part of that. So embrace every moment in your life, and just know that you are one that is unique like no other, and to live as such.
You know, Rick, I believe that belief, the power of belief, is the strongest power in the universe, and I couldn't agree with you more, my friend. Rick, we've got to say so long for tonight. Do me a favor, travel safe and be safe. And as always, Rick, I look forward to the next time that you and I meet here in the X Zone.
Thank you, my friend.
Take care of yourself, Rick. Exonation, Rick Hayes has been my guest this hour. www.lifesgift.com. That's www.lifesgift.com. Well, that's it for tonight, Exonation. I'll be back tomorrow night at 10 o'clock as once again we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X Zone. If you can help somebody out, whether you can give them a couple of bucks, if you can give them food, if they need clothing, it's up to us to help each other because we are all connected. So until tomorrow night, as I always say, keep your eyes to the sky, Exonation, and your heart in the light. Good night, everyone.